folks, I'm here with Randy at farm 795 Haskap Berry Farm in central Alberta. And today he's gonna take us through how his farm works, what makes it unique. And he's gonna share an unbelievable amount of information about all the different varieties that he has planted here. Randy, why don't you tell us a little bit about where we are in Alberta and how you got to running a Haskap Berry Farm?
Well, we're located about 30 miles southwest of Edmonton. And starting here goes back a number of years when I was 14 and I wanted to be a farmer. So when the opportunity 8 years ago came up to buy this place, we did. Didn't have a Haskap farm in mind, but had the land anyway. Yep. And a guy from work one day brought in some Haskap berries. Never heard of them. When I started 8 years ago, I didn't know anything. I talked to someone who was selling plants. I said, give me 7 varieties. Yeah. I didn't know which one was good, which one was bad. Just give me 7. He sent 7. 6 of them were terrible. I kept 1, and it was the Aurora. You see those empty rows right there?
Yeah.
Those were the other ones.
Okay, interesting.
I got rid of them.
Okay.
And we started small. We only started with, maybe 100 plants. Mm-hmm. And then every year we just planted 500 or so more. So now today we've got about 2,500 to 3,000 plants.
Cool.
We have about 5 different varieties right now here.
Okay. And what varieties are those?
They are Indigo Gem and Aurora, then Beauty, Beast, and Blizzard. They have to be genetically different enough to cross-pollinate. Okay. They also need to be flowering at the same time, of course. Yeah. So an early variety may be genetically distinct from another one, which you'd think would cross-pollinate. Yeah. But if it flowered 2 weeks earlier, then it's not a good companion.
Right. And how have you found pest predation, whether it's bugs or ungulates or other animals within the orchard here?
I don't have a problem. Certainly not with deer. Maybe it's due to my location. We don't have a lot of forests nearby, but I have heard that it's not a preferred food source for deer. Yeah. As for insects, we haven't had any predation. We don't use insecticides. No need to. Cool. Birds love them. Yeah. That's, it's basically crossing my fingers for the birds. Yeah. This variety here is Indigo Gem. It's the oldest University of Saskatchewan variety that I have. You can see its plant structure is wider than it is tall, which isn't really ideal. Certainly not for mechanical harvesting that can only go so low. It's not really ideal for U-picks and people harvesting either because they're harder to pick, those lower berries. It is nice that it's an early ripening variety, so it helps extend your season, being the first to be ready. You can see now we're beginning of June and the berries are a lot of green ones here, but they're starting to turn purple. The University of Saskatchewan, I think, has just done such a fantastic job in their more recent varieties to increase the size of the berry, reduce any sort of bitterness that might be there. So you can see with what I was talking about with the different shapes and structure of the bush, this one here is probably 6-7 feet wide and probably only about 4 feet tall, as opposed to the more upright varieties like Aurora. This is this year's growth, just here now. And then the berries are just starting to turn purple. Some are, and some are still completely green. The berries will turn purple before they're actually ready to eat. And if you bite into it and it's quite sour, bright green in the middle like a kiwi, they're just not ready. This new growth here is where the berries will be next year. So this variety is Aurora. It differs from the Indigo Gem. It's the companion for Indigo Gem. It's a more elongated berry as far as just the shape of the berry itself, and the Indigo Gem is a rounder berry. The structure of the plant is more upright, which is makes it nice for picking. It's sweeter. I'm a big fan of Aurora. It's a wonderful variety, even though it's a few years old now. It's not as even ripening, so that could be a plus or a minus, depending on what you're trying to do. If you want a machine harvest and you want to go through it once, you want an even ripening variety. The next variety here I want to show you is Beauty. Again, one of the newer releases from the U of S. What's unique about this variety is it's just a vigorous grower and it's a vigorous producer. It produces the most amount of berries of any of the other varieties that I have. For you-pick purposes, it might not be your first choice, just because of the tartness. It still has good flavor, but where it really shines is in a jam or a processed product where you're adding sugar anyway, and that extra tartness and acid really comes out in those processed products. This one is Beast. It's the companion for both Blizzard and Beauty. Again, a University of Saskatchewan variety. Its flavor is not as tart as Beauty and not as sweet as Blizzard. Has a nice average growth structure, fairly upright. This is our final variety I want to show you. It's Blizzard. It's a very productive plant. The berries aren't as round as the Beauty. They're more elongated, but very large berries. And this is our sweetest variety. Along with Aurora, this would be the two sweetest varieties we have. Where this one really shines would be for you-pick, because everyone loves this variety, just because its sweetness and the size of the berries. One thing I'd like to note is the detachment is important, I find, with different varieties. And I haven't mentioned that previously. The Blizzard hangs on, and so they're not quite as easy to pick. Once in a while, you'll rip a berry, and that's partially probably due to the size of them. The nicest to pick are the Beauty. They just pluck off beautifully, and Aurora are quite good that way as well.
One thing that I've noticed is that you have a pretty interesting management style here, different from other orchards, in that you've put a lot of effort into investing into mulch, which is amazing, but also I think probably quite a bit of work on your behalf. So how have you found, other than it's a lot of work, how have you found the mulch from a production perspective, and like what are some of the benefits that you've seen by putting in all the work to mulch these rows every few years?
Right. Like, I'm a big fan of mulch. I don't have a baseline where I can compare to rows that don't have mulch, because everything is mulched. I have yet to see a disadvantage of it for sure, other than the labor involved. It's a lot of work to get it out here.
Yeah.
There's three main advantages that I see, and it's weed suppression. Also, with time, that mulch will break down and that organic matter gets incorporated into the soil. And so with time, your soil is improving, your soil structure is improving. Mm-hmm. Those nutrients are entering the soil. And one thing that it's really good for, especially this year where we've had quite a drought lately, is it helps maintain a lot of more moisture into the soil, both directly by not allowing the sun to bake the soil, but also that organic matter that eventually gets incorporated helps maintain moisture levels as well.
Great. The other thing I noticed is you have no irrigation.
No.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
You've got such vigorous growth and healthy plants in Alberta's a pretty harsh climate in a lot of ways, and yet no irrigation.
Yeah. And a lot's that's due to the nature of the plant itself. It's a very hardy plant, it is, but they do need water. And I don't have irrigation. This year again is probably the most challenging in that respect, because we haven't had much rain, and they're doing fine.
So Randy, you have this operation as a you-pick, so people come and pick, and what percentage of the berries get picked by other people? So
far, we've got a nice balance. Last year, we were basically down to our last plant with our last customer. We couldn't have really planned it better, to be honest with you.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. And so you guys also have a nursery, I think. You're selling...
Yes, we do. We sell potted Haskap plants. Yeah.
People can come and buy those from you?
Yes.
And do you consult on Haskap? You seem to have a ton of knowledge about this stuff.
I would love to. If anyone would like to talk to me, I'm more than happy.
So how can people find out about you?
We do have a website, 795haskap.ca. My wife does more of the social media thing, but we do have a Facebook page, phone number. Okay. Give me a call. I'm always happy to talk with everybody.
Awesome. That's great. So folks, if you want to find out more about this farm, I'll leave a link to their Facebook page and their website down below. If you found that interesting, please hit the subscribe button. If you're interested in learning more about perennial plant propagation and these types of operations, we've got a couple of great speakers this year that are going to be talking about how to set up home orchards and perennial plant propagation, which is incredibly valuable skill to know. And please go and check out Randy's website. And if you're in central Alberta and you want to try a Haskap or If you've already tried them and you want to put some in the freezer this winter, then make sure you check them out. You guys obviously would have updates on your website when things are ripe.
That's right.
Yep. And you might actually see us here. I think we actually bought some of their Haskaps last year, and we'll be back again this year.